are both of you doing today?
Very good. How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. One of the things that really stood out to me was in this film is just how you portray that people deal with grief in so many different ways. And I think that is something that's very missed in film and also in television, that your grief is okay. It's okay for you to grieve, even if it doesn't match someone else. And I really wanted to ask you from a writing standpoint, how important was it for you to really convey that message through all of these characters who have their own traumas and is also going actively dealing with grief?
Thank you so much for saying this. This was exactly my wish to bring all those different perspectives, into the story, especially Martha's, who we would say she has a stuck bereavement process. She cannot move on. But like finding the understanding in that, like she cannot move on because moving on would mean that she betrays her baby, right? So it's not about the loss and the tragedy. She's not frozen because of those. She's frozen because of the like huge love she feels, right? So the togetherness, the longing, and it was so important for me, really, not just to talk about loss, but as much about life, as much about love, as much about the grace within this transition of the triumph over grief, and how someone can become a stronger person by a story like that. So I think you're absolutely right. This was exactly my point. You could let people grieve their own way, their own personal way. There is no recipe, and sometimes there is a very important message behind someone's choices.
Right. No, definitely. And even from a like the direction of the film, right? I love that you get to see how everyone's trauma, how it's really led them into this isolation, right? You have this incident, this isolated incident that happens in the beginning that sets everyone on this trajectory throughout the course of the film. And I really wanted to know for you, from a direction standpoint, really integrating that isolation to truly make you feel that these characters are surrounded by loved ones, but they still feel so alone at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what was important for me, especially also to Martha's character, how isolated she is and how became others are isolated because they doesn't understand her grieving
Right.
process. But to be honest, everybody has their own grief process. The mother is with the blaming or revenge culture,
Right.
or the husband just to back to addiction, or the sister just want to go back on the good track again. Like everybody is grieving in a way, and everybody is isolated. Even the love is inside, and they really want to move on, but the tragedies and the pain is so high, and they are just wanting to use their own way. But Martha is brave enough to find her way out and try her truth somehow, and that makes her maybe a little bit more like a hero than the others, and that's something which was very important for me. And to direct, a non-dramatic film like this, and how you can make it cinematic, that you need a lots of silence. And in Vanessa's performance is a lots of silence. And for me, as much was important the snowfall, or a car ride, or a smoking, or a walking, I mean, those
Yeah.
small little details are really creating how stranger you can be in your own reality.
I find it so interesting that you mentioned that she's a hero, because I think you both are heroes for bringing something like this of what happens to her character. It happens to so many people. It happens to more people than anyone could possibly know. And I really wanted to know the impact of sharing these stories, like the stories of the voiceless, these people who really mourn and grieve without the world really knowing what's going on inside. I wanted to know for both of you, how did that impact you while working on this project?
Yeah, so we just learned that every forced pregnancy end up in miscarriage or stillbirth. So it's such a common thing, and we hardly talk about it. And that was the case with us too, because we also share an experience of a miscarriage. and we never talked about it. It was exactly a taboo. So when Kornel found my notes and he encouraged me to like write a whole story about this, I was so fearful. I didn't want to go there. And then once I started to write it down, I felt there is an urge in me to express this. And it felt so important. And I'm really happy you say it could might, help other people too to break their silences and to really to break down this taboo, which is of course very challenging because this just goes against the circle of life. But I think, it can, for me, for us, of course, this was like a therapy going through this. It's
Definitely.
important.
And also, when I read this first fragments of dialogue, it was the most beautiful and the most personal writing by you. And it's, but in a second level, it's really break our silence. So of course we are very proud if we can break a silence about a taboo for others. And if are working as a therapy, that's the maximum what you can give.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your story and just sharing this with the world. I can't wait for everyone to see it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.